Hmm. Maybe? Maybe. Well, that is something to consider. But while I have time to work on that, today is time for a cop-out video, and today's cop-out subject is, what are my 10 current favorite blasters? And that includes both Nerf and Boomco, because Nerf and Boomco are, well, they're both blasters, so why not talk about both of them? Because my top 10 list does include both types, as well as various blasters. Although there is a reoccurring theme I had noticed as I was picking these out. I seem to have an affinity for a certain type of blaster. Let me see if you can tell what that theme is. But with no further delay, we're going to talk about one of my first loves in all of Nerf. And while the Strongarm wasn't the first blaster I ever bought, it was my first Elite blaster, and with all the Elite blasters that were out, this is the one that I wanted the most. Because the Strongarm has a certain allure to it. The Maverick is most people's first Nerf blaster, and the Strongarm was the superior version of that, punching something like twice to 3 times as hard, as well as having one of the best features Nerf has ever included in a pistol, which is the Sledgefire. And that sold this blaster for me. It is so much fun whipping this out and just off the hip. It's really hard to do like this, but off the hip it's super comfortable to just let loose all 6 darts before the first one even hits the floor. So much fun, and the Strongarm will forever be probably the pinnacle of blaster engineering for me. I absolutely adore it. But now, we'll talk about some other things that have been very, very good to me over the years. How about the Diatron? Or as I have called it in the past, the Diatron. Why did I call it the Diatron? Media? Diatron? It made sense to me at the time. But of course, it is called the Diatron. Why do I like this blaster? Well, for one, it's got an internal magazine, which are infinitely useful if you're at Dart Wars and you have to pick discs off the ground and shove them in there and keep going. Not very easy to do with a magazine, to pull a magazine out and load it up and put it back in. And the cool thing about the Diatron is not only does it shoot 2 discs at once, but, and this is really hard to show on camera as well, but it is very easy to one-hand this blaster. And the ranges are pretty good, something like 70 feet, and the discs go off in a pretty good pattern, so it's really, really annoying to people to shoot them with this at a distance. It's very hard to dodge because you get 2 discs rocking right at you, and they're kind of lazily floating in the air, so you don't know which way you're going to go, and you're going to get hit, and I love sniping people with this blaster. A very, very fun blaster. If you can ever pick one up, I highly recommend it. I do love the Diatron. And very, very, very big. You're going to have to make some kind of cardboard holster for this one. How about something completely different? Oh wait, I lied. It's the only other blaster in the Nerf multi-shot madness category. The Diatron and the Rough Cut 2x4. Or the Rough-em-a-Cut, as Bobo had called it, and I instantly loved. What is this? Well, it's one of the first, next to the Triad, smart AR blasters we got. And, of course, it has Sledgefire, so you can pack 8 darts up there, hold this trigger down, and just pump as it's jammed up right there. And you'll fire darts every single time, and it's got pretty good ranges. It's actually got 2 plunger tubes back here. It's incredible how good this blaster is. And it's very, very comfy to hold because of this grip. I love this grip so much. It is so comfy to me. And, well, it's a very, very good blaster in my opinion. It does have a problem with the barrels here. They like to drop darts pretty easily. The fit is really loose, and with those smart AR springs in there, it likes to push darts forward. So this is one of those blasters where you have to have new darts or it's just not going to work for you. But a very good one. Alright, now really, this time something completely different. Wait, lied again. The Sledgefire. This was something, when I saw it, I instantly had to have it. And while a lot of people have a lot of problems with the good old Sledgefire shells, I had no issues with them. And originally, this did come with a stock. And if you were going to use this as some kind of primary, you need to have the stock on there because it makes it infinitely easier to, you know, put shells back and reload shells in there. Without the stock, it's way, way harder. But with the stock on, it's a very, very neat secondary. It is huge. I mean, very, very, very big. But there's been, like, not a single time I have used this blaster and not gotten somebody out with it. It's almost impossible to dodge 3 darts. It just doesn't happen. The spread on this thing is perfect. It's been very good to me at Dart Wars, and of course that's where a majority of my Nerf experience comes from, is Dart Wars. Now, this is a blast from a past, and I don't know how many people have had experience with this one, but this is the Nerf Dart Tag Speed Load 6. And this might require a little bit of explanation, because the Speed Load 6 is interesting in the fact that it has an internal 6-round magazine. So, right here is the loading slot. You put a dart in there, you put another dart in there, and you can fill that up with 6 darts. And then you pull this back there, push it forward, chambers a dart, and it fires. And you can do it again. It doesn't hit all that hard, something like 35 feet maybe. And that's a shame, because if this hit a little bit harder, and I do know there's a blue trigger variant that hits just a tad bit harder, but the main problem with these is that they are reverse plungered, which is a very, very, very stupid decision Hasbro had, but something all the old N-Strike blasters had an issue with. Well, besides the Night Finder and the Longshot, I think, are the only two that aren't reverse plungered, and the Jolt, if you want to count the Jolt, but it kills the ranges and kills really any kind of mod capabilities this thing would have, except for I really want to open this up and make it like, because it's basically a recon or retaliator. I really want to open this up and try to put some kind of like retaliator internals in it. I'm hoping I can do that, but I've tried this once before with a Quick 16, which is a 16-round variant of this, and it was my first major project, and it did not turn out well. I'm thinking I might go back to it at some time, but right now, that's just not going to happen. And one of the cool things is, like the Rebel line, there's lots of soft edges on the Dart Tag stuff, which makes them really, really, really nice for painting. This might be in a project in the future. I really want to do something cool with it, because if I can get it shooting just standard elite ranges, it will be, bar none, my favorite Nerf blaster ever. It is so much fun to be able to pick up people's darts off the ground, shove them in there, and fire them. So much fun. And sadly, Nerf has not went back to that in quite some time. Something a little bit different. Oh wait, no, it's another shotgun. But this one is super cool. If you haven't seen these before, it straps to your wrist, like so. It's pretty hard to do when you're an adult, and a rather rotund one at that. But basically, straps to your wrist, and the darts, this one is modded, I might add, so the darts usually fit in right there, but since this one is modded, they will go all the way in, because the dart pegs were removed. So it holds 3 darts in there. And if you haven't quite figured it out, this is an air blaster. Something does feel a little weird about this. It should have kicked in the overpressure release valve by now, and it hasn't. But basically, just like Spider-Man, you put your fingers right there, and it will fire 1, 2, 3, or if you really wanted it to, it will shoot all 3 basically at once. Not the most practical primary or anything like that, but they do hit like 40-45 feet once you mod it. And if you were to put brass in there, you'd get even better ranges. And this is really fun to use, and it's really useful. Because not a lot of people are expecting you, if you're using something like a Rapid Madness, and then maybe not a Rapid Madness, but it's like a single shot blaster, like a Retaliator or something, and then all of a sudden, because you can hold this and another blaster at the same time. It is not hard to do that at all. I shouldn't have taken it off. And then when you need to, you just drop your blaster and shoot that, or rotate your finger up and hit it with your pinky is what I do. Rotate your hand up. And it's been very, very useful to me. It came in a 2-pack. This is the, dropping stuff all over the place. This is the Venom variant, and there's a Spider-Man variant, and these were actually Dart Tag blasters, but they're kind of hard to come by now. And I just got fortunate. I have 4 of them. Got lucky at the same thrift store 2 days in a row. Very, very happy with those. And an instant must-have to my collection. How about this one? Probably one of the few primaries on this list, but the Rapid Madness has been instrumental in my Dart Wars escapades. While it doesn't have the best range at all, and it looks absolutely horrible, I do not like the aesthetics of this thing at all. It fires ridiculously fast and has a total 40-round capacity with a Boomco quick clip. And if you remove the screw that's in the butt plate here, you can get off almost that entire 40-round clip. Although it does take like a million pumps to pump this thing up. Just a ton of them. But once you get going, it's super fun to 3-shot burst with, and full auto is an absolute nightmare. Plus the ammo capacity is almost unending. Really, really fun to use, but again, you can only really use it in close quarters, so not everybody's going to get the same kind of mileage out of this thing. One fun thing is that if you have to arc your shots to get better distance out of them, it is literally raining darts on your opponent. It is hilarious because Boomco darts are so stable in the air that you can easily hold this thing up, kind of tuck it underneath your arm, fire it, see where those darts are going, and change your angle, and basically just rain darts on people. I love it. I absolutely love this thing for that. It has gotten so many people out of Dart Wars, and I don't know if I could ever use any other blaster there besides this one. And probably time for my favorite. I keep saying a lot of these are my favorites, but when it comes to being a primary, nothing really competes to me as the Crossbolt. Because out of the box, this thing is very, very good, and it is very, very easy to mod. And then you come across the fact that you can cut the bow arms off, and as I have done here, I have cut them off and sanded them as smooth as I possibly could, and I drilled holes in there so I could feed the string in there, not have the string coming out over these things, to make it as flush as possible. And not only do I get one of the sexiest looking blasters I could ever hope for, and it's a bullpup, but this thing fires probably something like 85, 90 FPS, because that's what Bay Area Nerf was getting out of theirs. And this thing, I cut the string off by like 5 or 6 inches. There's really not that much string on here. It's already under a lot of tension. Just right there. It hits really, really hard, and it's super cool looking. The Crossbolt, I have high recommendations for, because if you go out and buy a blaster and you need to have something and you want to mod it almost immediately, you can undo one screw and mod this thing to hit harder. And you can't really do that with any other blaster. Like, the only thing that comes close is throwing, like, trust fires in a modulus. And, well, yeah, that works, but the Crossbolt's just so much fun for that. Highly, highly recommended. Now it's like 24 bucks on Amazon. It's a very, very good blaster. Let's talk about something really recent. The Burst Wave. Notice the theme yet. A lot of these blasters I'm pulling out are the same, and that's because I really like close quarters. And I really like air blasters, so the Burst Wave gets high remarks from me. Out of the box, it's pretty good. It hits about as hard as a Sledgefire would, but once you mod it, and just like the Sledgefire, if you haven't seen Make Test Battle's video on modding the Sledgefire, it can hit like 140 FPS. This thing can probably do even more, although it would require a little bit of work to probably fill in the rest of these holes right here, or single it, or just remove this turret entirely. But even just modding it just to keep the original turret and use it as an air-powered shotgun, it hits really, really, really far, hard and far, and I love it. I cannot wait to use this in Dart Wars. I still haven't had a chance yet, but I want to so badly, because I'm sure this thing will clear the entire arena. And, well, I said this was the top 10, so did I save the best for last? Possibly. This is a joke, but it's not a joke, because while not many people know, and I don't have all of them out here right now, I have almost every single Jolt I could find. Almost all of them. I tried to get as many jolts as possible because this was a blaster that I saw it on the store shelf and I thought, well, it's got like a Tech 3, it's going to suck horribly. And I was so wrong, because the Jolt was probably one of the hardest hitting blasters of its generation. And it's so small. It is absolutely tiny, and it still, to this day, is perfectly serviceable on the battlefield. I love the Jolt. I love the Jolt so much, and I will always, always carry one with me, which makes it, bar none, my favorite blaster. I can have one on me 24/7 because I just love it that much. It is so small and so powerful. And just keep in mind, this is my list, so if you disagree, well, go ahead and leave it in the comment boxes below. But if you agree with me, also let me know in the comment boxes below. And then, until next time, I'll see ya.